So if you're like me, most of our team, and most of my guild, yeah, Dragonflight has been a bit of an overwhelming situation. I mean, historically, you ding, right? You hit level cap, then you're funneled into the endgame activities of dungeon or PvP spam, then you get ready for the seasonal treadmill. But Dragonflight's hit different. You cap, and of course you've got your heroics, and your mythics, and your BGs and stuff, but it's not like you get 15 different pop-ups telling you all the new activities you can do. Nothing really happens. Your XP bar just disappears and you feel a bit lost. The first step, if you haven't already, is to finish the campaign. Then you see this screen, and all that it says is, do world quests and aid the factions. So, what do you actually do? Well, the answer is, you've already been doing a lot of it, there's more of it to do, and there is so much. I mean, the real answer is whatever the hell you want, because nothing is mandatory. Progress in the game revolves around two different things: renown with the 4 factions, and gear. It's in the hunt for these things that you will find massive swaths of content, and genuine content. A third part of progression, and one we highly recommend, is Professions 2. Doing a pair of professions like skinning and leatherworking, herbs and alchemy, or just the standalone ones like tailoring and enchanting, is actually a serious amount of fun gameplay progression, and so much more than just a bar to fill, but we'll get back to those. Renown then, what does it actually entail? It's a lot. And you can consider it sponsored by our Dragon series. It's the most high production value content we've literally ever published. 3 episodes are out now, and episode 4 comes out tomorrow. It's on Ysera. It's a really awesome video. If you want to get the most out of this expansion, hit up our Dragon series, link down below. You can watch the released episodes today after this video. Next one's tomorrow. Renown then. If you boil it down to its very core, Dragonflight is a long and maybe slow rep grind for 4 factions, rewarding you with campaign quests, an insane amount of cosmetics and collectibles, access to more world content, and basically everything you can think of except for player power. But instead of a rep grind through just clearing a map of quests and, quests reused as world quests twice a day, checking off a list of rares to kill, or more or less just doing a bunch of chores, this time around, you're actually doing cool design stuff and you're getting rewarded. Taking a leaf out of modern MMOs, trying to be a bit more friendly of when you can or can't play, almost everything here can be done in batches twice a week, or just chipped away at it any time you want otherwise. And only if you actually want to. If you only have time to do some Mythic Plus or Raid in a week, you'll lose nothing but like a little bit of progress. Okay, if you want to hunt for renown, number 1, finish side quests. The standout of this expansion has been the side quests. There are achievements for clearing each of the side quests in each zone, and, well, they're 2 things. Number 1, they're great sources of reputation, which gets you renown, and they're also extremely good. This is probably going to be most of your time over the next week or 2, and that's perfect because this is where the world building of World of Warcraft is. This is the stuff that we've so desperately wanted for a long time, and it's here, and it actually fits into the progression of your character. You've got a good dog that struggles to find its place in the world, dealing with a depressed elf, and getting WoW's first 3D modeled wrist piece as a reward, or witnessing little bits of who the Primalists are, what they're doing, and the impact that they're having, on the world. And that's only 4 quests that I've mentioned, out of 34 side quest chains. And those are only the ones that the achievements track. So take your time, read the quest text, install immersion, and tick the option that hides the rest of your UI during dialogue, and stick around to watch NPCs emote and chat. The team has poured their heart and soul into these quests. It's a shocking improvement over what has came before. You really can feel it if you just give it the effort or you kind of let it happen. And if you're like us, honestly, you'll kind of fall in love with the people of the Dragon Isles. It's a massive win. Okay, do your world quests twice weekly. Yes, world quests are back, but they're a much smaller slice of the pie this time. Their timers are set, so there are quite a few of them, but they are up for half a week each. Some of them are up for a full week. At a quick glance, we counted 14 world quests available, including the unlocked Dragon Race ones, and that's without the climbing or the photograph ones being, being unlocked. Now, they're still reused quests, at least mostly, but they're quick to knock out, they're fairly rewarding, and might seem a bit insane, but hey, let's be real. Being able to dragon ride between them instead of a flight path, a wormhole, or just running through a whole bunch of mobs on the ground, it just makes them so much smoother to do. Okay, do the weekly events. In an effort to make the Dragon Isles feel a bit more alive, they are full of stuff that's constantly happening. Events. Now, most of these reward you either once a week or a few times a week, scaling down. We've got the Shakar Grand Hunt. The Shakar Grand Hunt is basically constantly rolling across the map. Once per week, you can get a epic bag with a chance of a mount, but you can do it 3 times total for some extra things like centaur hunting trophies that you can trade in for some reputation. You also can get some gear, though we've not found out just how high that item level can go yet. Also, it's just a really good event. It's got variety in the enemies, like, what they do, some simple mechanics to handle, some of the bosses need to be found by following tracks, and it's just really soulful. Next, we've got the Alag Nomad Quest. So this is, of course, at the Centaur Camp that unlocks at Renown 4. It's on your map, and it offers a set of quests that give you some reputation and extra rewards from the Strongbox. Now, this moves around and offers new quests twice a week, much like with the World Quests. The Siege of Dragonbane Keep. This is another weekly event. Every once in a while, the Obsidian Outcasts will try to retake the keep from the Jarradine, and you can help out. You get an epic chest with some gear, reputation, and other stuff that can drop from this once per week. Then, close by, we have the Obsidian Citadel. Yep, basically you bring the key to the Black Dragon daddy of your choice. Rathian and Sibelian are trying to sort out their home in the Obsidian Citadel, and every week you can pledge your allegiance to one of them, along with handing in a greater obsidian key, which is made from key fragments, which you get in the area, and that will unlock quests for them that week. You can also work with other players to unlock extra quests for more reputation. Farm out more fragments and hand in the restored keys to fill up those bars. We've got the soup, the community soup. Defend the soup. Just make some soup, defend the soup, and take a sip. You'll get some reputation and world buff. All of this, of course, is going down at the Tuskar village. Now, for all of these events, you can hover over the icons on the map, and if you've got anything left to do, the game will actually tell you. Bonus quests, bonus rewards, that sort of thing. Next then, fly around and look for stuff. After a few renown levels, you'll be able to hand in trophies for even more reputation. And getting these is pretty much freeform, and it's doing stuff that makes sense for each faction. Killing big and rare beasts gets you hunting trophies, getting a shovel and digging up dirt mounds gets you artifacts that you can hand into the Dragon Scale Expedition, finding Tuskar totems and Titan relics in, treasures will be for the other 2 reputations. There's also a lot of just kind of nice moments and cool things you'll find when you're just flying around the zones. So it's all pretty good. Weekly dungeon quests. So you can get 2 chunks of 250 rep for a faction of your choice from the 2 weekly dungeon quests from these guys in Valdrakken. They can be done on any difficulty too, so you could just do them as a part of your big, Mythic Zero World Tour, or just queue up for a super quick normal to do them that way on the match-made queue. There's the weekly Battleground quest in the same vein. You can get 250 rep for picking up 1500 honor via Battlegrounds. We've then got the weekly profession quests. Not as potent, but your weekly profession quests from Valdrakken do give a little bit of rep too, so if you're doing the professions anyway, it's definitely worth doing some of these. You get profession knowledge, skill, money, rep. It's a pretty good mix. Then there is Aid the Accord. So each week in Valdrakken, you'll get a quest to get, currently it's 4,000 rep. I believe it can also be like 3,000 rep plus doing an activity, but this is just your big weekly quest. It gives you a box with gear and some other nice things. You just need to pick it up and then turn it in after playing for a few hours. It's not really something to do, but picking up the quest is certainly something to remember. So that's an abridged version of what you can do for Renown, and that leaves the next part of WoW's progression, which is gear. It's more simple than maybe ever, which is absolutely fantastic news. Okay, dungeons. Before Season 1, all you can do is your random heroics and your weekly mythic zeros. If you're lucky, you'll then be in mostly 372 gear by the time Season 1 appears. You've then got PvP, Battlegrounds, and World PvP. So right now, it's all unranked, but of course you can farm out honor gear via doing Battlegrounds. You can also get a cool World PvP set by farming bloody tokens in World PvP via just kills and the PvP World Quests. It's item level 366, so even better than honor and heroic dungeon gear. If you don't get all your mythic gear, picking up some of this could be a lifesaver for prepping for Season 1. Also, the PvP World Quests are generally dumb and fun, which is pretty great. World Quests, these of course will be relevant to gearing. They drop scaled gear up to a cap, so if you see any really good drops, it's perhaps worth holding on until you've done all your dungeons and gotten your bloody token gear, and then picking it up. Professions. Professions will be a new source of pretty strong gear as time goes on. Players will unlock more patterns from Renown and the Engine of Innovation. This bad boy will provide you with the Spark of Ingenuity now, which basically, well, you'll get one now, you'll get one when the season launches, and then every few weeks after. And the Sparks of Ingenuity and a whole bunch of reagents that you can either buy or ask crafters to use for you, well, this will get you items all the way up to level 418. Depending on if you go hard enough, if you're doing hard enough content to get the more difficult to acquire reagents. It's kind of too much to get into now as an overall system, but it's a pretty big part of gearing this expansion. The more accessible version of this, of course, is the Titan Training Matrices, where the rank 3 version drops from heroic dungeons, the rank 4 version, which basically lets you get Mythic 0 quality gear, that drops from Mythic Dungeon and bosses. So if you are crafting, well, that's a pretty handy way to get yourself full of those 372 eye-level pieces. Next, basically anything, because so far we've been finding just small bits of gear and slight upgrades that scale above heroic dungeon level through, lots. Through most rewards that drop purple boxes. That likely stops around item level 372, which is Mythic 0, but we're not quite sure just yet. Anyway, don't worry too much about this. Basically, if you're doing the Renown stuff, you'll just pick up some pieces of gear as you're going along the way. Professions. So, to talk in depth about professions would take another half an hour because they're insanely good right now, but I'll say the very quick version. Go do profession things. There are masters in the world to find to grant you some specialization knowledge. Skinning, herbing, and mining now have depth in how to acquire the reagents, and there are weekly quests attached. This is literally content to do now, even more than in the in Legion with the quests they had back then. You can also fish in the fishing holes of the Tuskar setup. You can join people on the Shakar hunts for free skinning targets, or you can practice dragon riding while searching for nodes to mine or herb. It's all gameplay. Okay, let's talk about the other stuff. We've got dragon riding glyphs and races. So the dragon riding glyphs are there to collect. There are a total of 54 races to get a gold timer in across 27 courses. Each, of course, of those has a basic and an advanced difficulty. The basic ones are very easy, generally speaking, but the advanced ones can get a little bit more hairy and actually require some practice to get a gold time. And the thing is, they're really fun. The Isles Racer title will totally be worth it, and being good at dragon riding makes, honestly, just playing the rest of the Dragonflight expansion feel way better, and we've got a video with some tips, tricks, and handy things there in the pipeline. The Cobalt Assembly, yeah, there's more. So imagine Torghast powers, but toned down and used in a big old rep grind in the traditional sense, and also some world PvP. The Cobalt Assembly is kind of dumb, but pretty damn good. It's a long-ass grind that you can do to get some high-value profession recipes. Also, a pretty damn good ring early on, so there's that too. And a bunch of blue Dragonflight-themed appearances. For a time, this was extremely fast to do because of a bug. It's a bug the Blizzard have since resolved, which I know does sting a little bit, but it was because of a bug. It wasn't actually intended behavior. All in all, then, there's a lot to do in this expansion, and the season hasn't even started yet. I'd say, as far as honeymoon periods for a WoW expansion go, goes. Like, this is the best, one of the best. It's fantastic. Even the stuff that is supposed to be done weekly is good enough to be fun for a decent amount of time, instead of pretty much immediately boring or immediately, boring after just the first time. It's probably not Legion levels of insane with Suramar and all of the class quest lines, but it's a pretty damn close second. It's also a lot more friendly on people who can only log in a few times a week. And if you're a raid logger, you basically don't have to worry about any content that you don't want to. And that overall means top marks to Blizzard. If we can get more content like all of this in a patch cycle relatively, soon and with a good schedule, then Dragonflight will be World of Warcraft like we've not been able to play it in a very, very, very long time. Yeah, they've got this shit right. What can I say? All right, if you want something else to entertain you, there is our Big Dragon series. I think there's pretty much an hour of content available right now, so why not check out this episode and get ready for Ysera. Hers will come out tomorrow, I think. Have a great day. See you next time.